Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 21st of June and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper, and the articles will be seen strictly under the pretext of the UPSC CSE exam. Guys, the explainer PDF that I am going to use here, fine, not the Hindu PDF, the explainer PDF you can download from my Telegram channel. The link for the channel has been given in the description box. Now, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles will be relevant. So guys, here on the page number 1, the first here the first article, the first set of Agniveers will join the service in June 2023. Now enough of the Agniveer Agnipath scheme has happened. You don't need to see the everyday development that is coming in this particular direction, so nothing is relevant in this particular article. Fine, then the political articles etc have been there. Fine, no need to see them, so there is nothing relevant in the page number 1. After that, the city section, the BACS to install the smart meters and all these kind of things, again nothing is important. Then the political articles, fine, they are there. Okay, so before the editorial section much of important things are not there. However, here we can see that a rare dragonfly has been spotted into the Kerala. So just briefly we'll be taking what has happened. So we'll be reaching to the editorial page now. Now on the editorial page, the first article, an unjust pursuit. So this article talks about the Britain's decision which had allowed the extradition of Julian Assange to the US. So briefly we'll see this particular article, that what has happened. Then guys, further moving off, the choice is narrowing the circle or widening it. So basically this particular article, it talks that recently there have been certain statements that have been made, particularly against one particular religion. So basically the article is written by Mr. Hamid Ansari, who was the former vice president of India, and it is being said that we have one of the largest the Muslims are one of the largest minority of India, and any statement that is being done, it should be carefully be made. Fine. Now guys, this particular article has been written in a kind of a little bit of a political flair. With respect to the UPSC, the substance is not there in this particular article because this recent controversy has become a very much politically flammable issue. Moving on, a case of the court straying into the legislative sphere. This article is important. This article talks about the recent judgment of the High Court with respect to the abuse of the dowry provisions. So we'll see this particular article. Then the cracks at the center. So guys, this article talks about the Emmanuel Macron's basically the political campaigning. Emmanuel Macron, what are the political perspectives for him in the France. Fine, so it is a article related to the France's politics, not important for our examination. Fine, you don't need to see. At the center of job creation, we'll see this article. Resurrecting a dead law, we'll see this article. Then guys, further moving on, we reach the text and the context. A marooned Macron. Again guys, the French president Macron, his basically political prospects and all these things are being discussed here. Again, related to the France's internal politics, you don't need to see. Then the El Salvador's Bitcoin bit. Guys, what has happened, the El Salvador, fine, recently it has adopted the Bitcoin as their official currency. Fine, they adopted the Bitcoin as their official currency. However, we have seen now that into the past few weeks the Bitcoin had crashed really bad. Nearly 70%, more than 70% worth of the Bitcoin has been crashed. Okay, so now the Bitcoin is trading less than $20,000. Now the El Salvador's economic condition was not very much good even earlier, but due to the Bitcoin crash, now the El Salvador is again another kind of an economic problem. People are not confident in using the Bitcoin. You have made it as an official currency. People are not comfortable in using it. So how much Bitcoin got crashed, how much money was stashed into the Bitcoin of the El Salvador government, all these things are mentioned. Again, with respect to the UPSC, nothing important substance is there in this particular article. So whatever we have discussed, that is more than sufficient. Then solving the Starlight problem. So guys, this particular article will be seeing that how it has become a kind of a moral as well as a kind of an economical problem. So the Starlight case study we are going to see here. Then moving on, then the basically here on this particular page the political and all these such kind of things are mentioned. Nothing is important, so just we need to skip it. Then guys, moving on, Australia seek to revitalize the Indo-Pacific ties. Okay, so basically we see this particular thing that the deputy PM, he is of Australia, he is on the Fine. Here we see that the deputy PM is on a 3-day visit, and in this particular capacity, the Australia says that India is an important component into the Indo-Pacific ties. So just this statement has been made. Apart from that, nothing much important is there. Then again, moving on, we come to the business page. Now guys, on to the business page. India faces the near term challenges, finance minister. So when we talk about the near term challenges, many of the issues are there. Right now we see that there is increasing price of the petrol and diesel. After that, the inflation is there, the growth is a challenge. Fine. Then guys, the corporate news etc have been mentioned. You don't need to go in this particular direction. So this is all guys about the overview of the today's newspaper, and let's see all these articles one by one in the detail. Now, so guys, today is 21st of June, and 21st of June is observed as the International Day of Yoga, which was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014. Now, first of all, the UNGA has proclaimed the International Day of Yoga on the behest of India. And first of all, observing the yoga, which is the tradition that has been given by India, number one, it presumes the soft power potential of India that is there. So yoga has been given by India, and now the entire world is observing the yoga. So it is one of the soft power that we have capitalized. On the same aspects, there are many other dimensions also of our rich tradition, our rich history, our rich culture that could be leveraged as we have done with the yoga. When we talk about the yoga, so yoga as an ancient practice, it is not only about the twisting of your body or performing certain asanas. Rather, the yoga, it is the union of the body with the soul. And on this International Yoga Day, we'll be taking today the GS quote associated with the yoga. So it says that the yoga does not transform the way we see things, it transforms the person who sees. So it completely transforms you at the atomic and subatomic level. So this is the relevance of yoga. We can use such kind of a quotation if such a question on around the yoga or essay is coming. So that is all about the GS quote. And now let's take the first article. Now the first article we have taken from the text and the context. It says solving the Starlight problem. Now guys, what is this Starlight issue? Now first of all, where we are going to see this? We are going to see this particular article under the context of the GS paper number 4. GS paper number 4. Within the GS paper number 4, there are the corporate ethics. Corporate ethics, where we'll see this particular article. First of all guys, I'll tell you the background, and then we will see the dimensions that are associated with it. Now see, this Starlight copper plant, it is situated into the Tamil Nadu, and it is a very important copper smelter of our country. Now guys, the copper Starlight plant, people started to protest for the against the Starlight copper plant because there was the apprehensions that it is leading to a lot of pollution, the water problem, the water quality is getting degraded into the area. There were the protests. However guys, in 2018, when the protest against the for the closure of the Starlight copper plant was being done, there the police firing was there where the 13 people were killed. And after that, to continue the Starlight plant or to not to continue the Starlight plant, it has become a moral issue. It has become a ethical issue even. Okay, so we are going to see all these particular dimensions. Now guys, basically first of all, when we talk about the allegations that have been made against the Starlight copper plant, what are the issues, how the corporate ethics have been failed here, we're going to see that particular thing. Number one, it has been provided that over the last 20 years as the Starlight copper plant is operational, it has led to many of the violations. Okay, it says that basically pollution regulation it have violated. It had basically spewed a lot of pollution. It had degraded the water nearby. Okay, it is also being said that around 3 a.m. every day, the Starlight copper plant, it used to release the poisonous gas, which was not good for the health of the people. So here we see that the article number 21, that is the right to life, which also talks about that the dignified living conditions are guaranteed, it is also being violated by the copper plant. It has been said that the people were they are short of breath. Fine, even the cattle, they refuse to drink the groundwater as it has been degraded. So clearly article 21 has been violated. Moreover guys, we see this particular thing that the people also protest that the Starlight did not employ enough of the local people and did not give enough contracts for the local businessmen. Is it clear? So the regional development was not even properly carried by the Starlight copper plant. So this is another ethical aspect which has been coming in this particular thing. Then, then the guys, there are the another dimension of this particular article that we also need to see. Fine, it is being said that the pollution problem was there, it did not employ the people, it degraded the groundwater, but at the same time, to continue the Starlight copper plant, many other dimensions also come. For example, basically the Starlight plant was manufacturing the copper, and the copper has been called as a strategic metal for any country. Why it is a strategic metal? Because it has a large number of electrical usages in electric equipment, in electronic devices. Fine, the copper has a lot of role to play. And now today, as we are trying to become the hub for the electronic components, electronic devices, sign, we cannot afford to lose such a kind of an important smelter. Moreover, as the India is pushing for the electronic vehicles, even into the electronic vehicles, in the transmission lines, fine, the copper plays a very important role. So to just to go away, it will not be in the welfare of the national, it will basically not be into the welfare of the national interest. Then second thing, it has been said that actually copper demand is going to go up in the coming years, so it could also be a strategic export of India. Closing a plant on certain things will not then be desirable. It has been said that today we actually have become dependent onto the imports. Okay, around the world there are the 120 copper smelters, and the Starlight copper plant was one among them. Every country wants to have a smelter of their own. India cannot afford to lose such a kind of thing. So this is also being provided. Moreover, guys, it has also been provided that actually by this, the economy of this entire region is going to suffer. So therefore, the Starlight copper plant, in the name of the greater welfare of the people, should continue. Is it clear? However, here we also get the judgment given by the Madras High Court with respect to the copper plant. What the Madras High Court judgment says, and this judgment can be quoted in your other ethics answers also. Judgment says that when economy is pitted against the environment, environment will reign supreme. Fine, it says that when environment and economy are in clash, the environment will be supreme. So if it was causing the pollution, we cannot allow it to continue. Is it clear? Now understand this particular thing, guys. When we talk about the ethics paper 4 case studies that are coming, they are now inspired by the current affairs, current issues that are there. Last year there was the case study, before that there were the case studies, multiple case studies. For example, the case study onto the migrant crisis have been asked. Fine, then the case studies about the building collapse have been asked. So on to such kind of a thing also the case studies could be there. Fine, so these dimensions you need to keep in your mind. Now what could be the solution in such kind of a thing? Solution could be that there needs to be a framework of solution, that the country needs to adhere strictly to the norms. Fine, a harmony needs to be established between the company, the government and the people. Basically the Starlight copper plant, as we see in this particular case, it has not been able to form the social trust. It has not been able to form the social trust with the people. So it needs to rebuild this social trust. For that it needs to engage, it needs to carry the outreach, it needs to use the persuasion, effective communication skills, it needs to use the ICE, that is the information, communication and education. It need to educate the people that how the operations were carried. Fine, they were using, whether they were using some safeguards or not, if not, how now they are going to do that particular thing. So this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, so this article we have taken again from the Hindu text and the context. It talks about the keyword Dutch disease. Now in the prelims examination particularly, such kind of keywords have many times been asked. Moreover, in the mains GS paper number 3, this Dutch disease could be an important thing. So we are going to discuss it. So what do we mean by the Dutch disease? So guys, when we talk about the Dutch disease, now the Dutch disease is an economic phenomena where what happens, country witnesses uneven growth because a kind of a natural resource such as the oil has been discovered. Now I'll tell you the entire background of this particular thing. So guys, the Dutch disease, the phenomena became popular after in after the discovery of oil in Netherlands. What happened? Oil was discovered into the Netherlands, and suddenly the oil it became a major export commodity of the Netherlands. Now the moment oil became the major export commodity of Netherlands after it got discovered into the 1970, Netherlands started to face certain economic problems, and that is called as the Dutch disease. So what is the economic problem that will come? We'll understand this thing. See, now oil has been discovered, this oil will be exported. Now many countries are importing this particular oil from the Netherlands. Obviously guys, now the Netherlands has to be paid because the oil has been imported by all these countries from the Netherlands. So everybody will procure the currency of the Netherlands and will try to pay them in that particular currency. Now, when the currency of the Netherlands is in much of a demand, what will happen? The Netherlands currency will appreciate. Netherlands currency will appreciate. Is it clear or not? So this is going to happen. Now this particular thing will impact the exports, other exports in a negative way. How it is going to impact the other exports in a negative way? Guys, understand this particular thing, that if currency is expensive, if currency's value is high in front of the other currencies, exports are always going to be discouraged. I'll explain this particular thing, but you need to know guys that the China keeps its currency yuan always devaluated. Why? Because China is a major exporting country. If the value of the yuan will be much high, China's exports are also going to be getting impacted. So let's understand this particular thing it in a little more detail. Guys, suppose that suppose there are two countries. One is the USA, another is India. One is the USA and another is India. Now USA is, let's say, exporting the iPhones to the India. USA is exporting the iPhone to India. Okay. Now in USA, let's say the price of the iPhone in USA is, let's say, $1,000. In USA the price of iPhone is $1,000 and it is exporting to India. Now, well, let's talk about the pricing of dollar in front of rupee. So $1, let's say, is equal to 80 rupees. So one iPhone will cost around 80,000 rupees today in India. Will not be talking about the custom duties and all these kind of things. Just keep that particular thing aside. So 80,000 rupees is the price of one iPhone in India. Now suppose this value of dollar increases too much. Today $1 is equal to 80 rupees. Let's say it becomes 160 rupees suddenly. The moment it becomes 160 rupees, okay, this is something that happened. The value of the dollar has increased. Now guys, the same $1,000 in terms of rupee will now be 1,60,000 rupees. Are you getting it or not? We are paying $1,000, the same $1,000, but $1 has now become expensive in front of rupee, 160 rupees worth. So each iPhone now in India will cost 1,60,000 rupees. Obviously, it is too much expensive. Will not import the iPhones from the USA. So the USA's export are obviously going to get impacted. Now guys, the same thing happened into the Netherlands. What happened into the Netherlands? Their currency got appreciated too much. Why their currency got appreciated? Because they were exporting oil, and when they were exporting oil, obviously the other countries, when they want to pay, they will buy the Netherlands currency, and when the currency's demand increases, its price, its value goes up. So this particular thing happened, and in the same way it impacted the other exports from the Netherlands. One thing. Secondly guys, what happened? As the oil industry will do good, the talent, okay, it will be diverted from other sectors to the oil sector. In that particular thing, the manufacturing sector, service sector will further go down. Is it clear or not? So this is the problem of Dutch disease. Now what a country can do in order to for avoiding this particular problem, there could be certain steps that could be taken. Number one step is the government needs to use the fiscal policy very carefully. What is the fiscal policy? Fiscal policy is the policy of government which determines the expenditure as well as receipts of the government. Expenditure, where the government is going to do the expenditure, what expenditure it is going to do, all these kind of things. Now guys, basically as the oil sector is on a boom, you have discovered the oil, obviously a lot of revenue will be collected. Now guys, at the same time there are other sectors which are suffering because of your oil and gas sector. So government needs to use their new resources, revenues, for a cautious spending onto the public welfare. It needs to use the revenue, it needs to use the taxation to compensate for the adverse effect of the Dutch disease. Stimulus to some other industries is to be provided, number one. Number two, what it is to do, the private spending in basically the private spend basically the productivity of the private firms also needs to be enhanced. Fine, productivity, how they can be more efficient. Now guys, understand this particular thing. I gave you one point that when the oil sector is doing too much good, what will happen? The labor, fine, the people, the talent, it will move from the manufacturing sector to the oil sector. Fine, so in this particular thing, the other sectors need to be made more productive. Is it clear or not? Automation and all such kind of things could be explored. Thirdly, there is an important role of the monetary policy also. Now guys, the monetary policy is the policy where the money supply is managed in a country. Monetary policy is majorly driven by the central bank of a country. Now guys, the central bank, it also needs to take the appropriate steps. Now understand this particular thing, that when the discovery of a natural resource has happened, country will see huge inflow of money. Is it clear? Huge inflow of money will be there, currency is going to be appreciated. So the central bank needs to intervene in between and needs to make sure that their currency's value is basically not impacting the exports in a substantial way. So this is something that should be done. That is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, a case of the court straying into the legislative sphere. So this article we have taken from the Hindu editorial section, and this particular article guys talks about the recent judgment of the Allahabad High Court with respect to the abuse of section 498A of IPC. Fine, so this is something that we are going to discuss here. Now guys, this particular article will be important in the social issues GS paper number 1, as well as in social justice GS paper number 2. This article is going to be important. Social issues GS1, social justice GS paper number 2. Now before going on this particular article guys, I'll tell you some of a background which will be important for you to understand this particular article. So the background goes like this, that in India, in our IPC, Indian Penal Code, we have one section by the name of section 498A. Now this section 498A was added in 1983 to curb the dowry. So people used to ask the dowry. So in order to curb that, in order to deter that, section 498A is added. What section 498A provides? Section 498A provides that if the husband or if any relative of the husband is subjecting the women towards the cruelty for the demand of dowry, then in that particular case, the husband or the relatives could be imprisoned for 3 years or even a fine can be given. So this is the dowry provision of section 498A. However, over the years what have happened, this particular provisions have been abused a lot by the women. Clear? So many a times even the other domestic disputes that have happened, the husbands have been charged for the dowry demand, and even the families, entire families of the husband, they have been arrested, they have been put into the jail. So abuse of the dowry provision is very much rampant in the country. So in order to curb this particular thing, what has happened, in order to save the dowry victims who have been falsely implicated, the Allahabad High Court has given certain safeguards. So first of all, let's see that what safeguards the Allahabad High Court has provided. Allahabad High Court had said that number one, if there is any dowry dispute or if any complaint for the dowry that is being filed, then that particular complaint should go to the Family Welfare Committee. The Allahabad High Court had provided that every district need to in fact form the Family Welfare Committee under the District Legal Service Authority, DLSA. So they will handle the dowry cases. It has been said that no immediate arrest will be made by the police. There will be a cooling period of 2 months. only the when the complaint has been filed, after 2 months the arrest can be made. This is what has been provided. Now guys, the Allahabad High Court actually got its inspiration from the other Supreme Court judgment of 2018. So in 2018, Supreme Court came out with a judgment by the name of Social Action Forum for Manav Adhikar versus Union of India. There also the Supreme Court said that similar kind of committees are to be formed, cooling period needs to be there before making an arrest, and all such kind of things have happened. Now guys, let's make the assessment whether such kind of thing is good or whether there are certain problems. Now guys, the High Court has also talked about the constitution of these family welfare committees, who will be there in these family welfare committees. It had said that, for example, there will be a younger mediator or a or an advocate or a senior law student, they needs to be there, and the roles that they are going to play. Now guys, it has been provided that okay, what if there was the demand of for a dowry, and into that particular demand of dowry some minor hurt or some injury has been caused to the women. What if, let's say that the women's bone is fractured, or some kind of an injury has been caused to eye, ear, or a joint. Clear? Basically such kind of an injury where the maximum imprisonment is less than 7 years. Clear? Now the Allahabad High Court has provided that in such kind of a cases the matter will be referred to the family welfare committee. But don't you think that it will lead to many kind of a problem? Is it clear? For the 2 months the arrest cannot be made. Okay, this is fine to save the dowry victims, but what about the genuine cases where the dowry is genuinely being demanded and the women are being assaulted on the day-to-day basis? Police cannot make the arrest before the 2 months, so it will basically it will be becoming the ground for the continued harassment of many of the women. This is something that has been provided. Secondly guys, it has been provided that basically the criminal procedure code has clearly laid down the provisions in case a law is being violated. Section 498 is being violated, what police should do, what not do, has been provided. Why the court has given the new interpretation? This new interpretation is an example of judicial overreach. It is an example of the judicial activism that has been carried. Fine. Now guys, moving on, what could be the possible solutions in this particular regard? So the solutions in this particular regard could be this, that what should be done. It has been provided that basically we need to use the Supreme Court's directions given into the Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar case. Now in the Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar case, what happened? Basically it was provided that, see, nor immediate arrest is to be made, nor you need to avoid the arrest. Rather, arrest needs to be made only when there is sufficient reason and credible material against the accused person. Okay, so reasonable, rational arrest needs to be made only when the credible material is there. Moreover, in the Arunesh Kumar judgment, it was also provided by the Supreme Court that the investigating officer must be imparted training. Fine, they must be imparted training that in what cases they are going to make an arrest. Fine, this is something that has been provided. Moreover guys, it has also been provided that the parliament should decide that the section 498A of IPC should be made bailable. Okay, the bail should be given. So bail should be given by the police station. Okay, please keep it in mind. Fine, there are the bailable offenses, there are the non-bailable offenses. Okay, non-bailable offenses doesn't mean that the bail will not be given. Non-bailable offenses means that the bail has to be taken from the court. Okay, so it should be made as a bailable, where the bail by the police station could be given. After that, it has also been provided that the section 498 of OIPC should be made as a compoundable. Now guys, there are two type of offenses, compoundable and non-compoundable. Compoundable means where the compromise can be reached between the two parties. Okay, and non-compoundable is that where the two parties cannot reach on a compromise. For example, if a murder has been if a murder is committed, now two parties, they cannot come at a compromise. Is it clear or not? So the 498 of IPC should be made as a compoundable offense, where the people, if they want, they should be allowed to compromise. It will save time, it will save the effort of the courts. This is something that has been provided. After that guys, the next is that basically mediation bill of 2021 was there into the pipeline. it talks about the mediation mechanisms out of the court. The mediation bill needs to be brought so that one alternative way of solving these particular cases also comes out. So this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And now guys, we'll be moving to the next article. Now, at the center of the job creation, this particular article, it has been taken again from the Hindu editorial section, and it talks about the critical analysis of the recent scheme that government had came out with, where government had said that the 10 lakh jobs will be filled in the next 18 months. Okay, so this particular article we are going to see under the pretext of the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, unemployment, GS paper number 2, employment, unemployment. Fine. Now let's see this, what this particular article talks about. So guys, first of all, in this particular article, a lot of political overtones, a lot of political references are there, which is actually not very much relevant for our UPSC exam. Now, government recently announced that the 10 lakh people will be given the job in a mission mode approach over the next 1.5 years, that is the 18 months. Basically, government had said that number A, the Agnipath scheme will be used. In the Agnipath scheme, the youth will be recruited in the defense forces. Number 2, what will be done? The youth will be enrobed into the GST department, in railways, and many such other government departments. So in total, 10 lakh jobs will be given. Now guys, this particular article says that first of all, there are certain there is a certain acknowledgements that the government has indirectly done by this particular scheme. Number 1, government has accepted that actually employment is actually a very big problem today. Fine, we are not able to create much of an employment, and today unemployment has reached serious proportions. Secondly, it is an acceptance that the private sector, the tech companies, manufacturing sector, multinational companies, they have not created many jobs, or even if they have created the jobs, sometimes the job are high skilled based jobs. Okay, sometimes the jobs are very much less low skilled, so that basically decent jobs have not been created even by the private sector. Third, basically now government is again using the Nehruvian model of the social welfare. What was the Nehruvian model of social welfare? For example, during the time of Nehruji, lot of public sector enterprises, they were established, and the public sector enterprises were not just the industries, they were also the avenues of giving employment to the large number of people. Now what government is doing, government is actually saying that will fill the vacancies. So basically the social welfare model, Nehruvian model, government is again adopting. And next it is said that it is nothing but it is the government's attempt to woo people for the upcoming 2024 elections that are there. So this is the 4 conclusions that have come by the government's announcement. Now guys, by after this particular thing, though I had provided it in the PDF, the summary, but after that the article is not too much relevant for your UPSC exam. Why? It is because that it is now criticizing the government scheme on some microscopic fronts. Such kind of things, such kind of questions are not relevant for our UPSC exam. Basically, one grand conclusion that has been discussed in this entire article later words is that basically government has promised that the 10 lakh jobs will be filled. Basically, it is not the new jobs that are being created. Already the existing vacancies are there, those existing vacancies are being filled. So where are the new jobs? So it is being said that even the rate of unemployment that is there in India, it is very much less than what the actual picture is. So this particular thing is being talked about. It is being said that why you are using the Nehruvian model of social welfare when you abused it, why you are again using the Congress way. So a political kind of an allegation is being made. No need to go there. So that is all about this particular article. Just these important prepositions you should be having in mind. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, resurrecting a dead law. Now guys, this particular article, it talks about the resurrection of the section 66A of the Information Technology Act, IT Act 2000. This particular article we can see under the GS paper number 2, that is the threats to freedom of speech and expression. Fundamental right, article number 19, threats to freedom of speech and expression. Okay, now let's discuss what this particular article is all about. Now guys, when we talk about the section number 66A of IT Act, this particular provision has been invalidated by the Supreme Court way back in the 2015 in the Shreya Singhal judgment. Now, guys, what Section 66A was? Section 66A actually made it made a punishable offense if anybody is using the grossly offensive language through a computer resource. If somebody is using a kind of a language, or if somebody is commenting where somebody had got somebody got hurt. Okay, so grossly offensive remarks, I'll use the word here, grossly offensive remarks, if they have been made through a computer, then it was a punishable offense under the virtue of Section 66A of the IT Act. Now, this particular thing has been many a times abused, fine, when the people criticize the political leaders. Okay, people were booked, they were arrested. Now, this Section 66A is actually in violation of our fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. Clear? So therefore, Supreme Court said that Section 66A should not continue, and it got struck. Supreme Court even said that the Section 66A is having a chilling effect on free speech. Now it is again back into the news. Why, guys? Because India is proposing into the United Nations an international treaty for combating cyber crime. And the international treaty for combating the cyber crime that India is suggesting into the UN, their offensive messages that they should be made punishable, it has been talked about. So it is nothing but a backdoor entry of Section 66A again in the international arena that is being said. Now, guys, there are certain questions that can Section 66A again, can it come back to the life by this particular way? So we are going to analyze it. Now, number one, it has been said that no. First of all, as we are trying to bring it into the international law, into the international treaty, international negotiations are very much complex. And in this particular context, already the countries such as the UK, they have said that they are not going to accept this particular provision. Okay, so it might not get passed there. Secondly, guys, here now there is a good concept that has been used here. I am more interested in talking about that concept. Now it is being said that actually India is a dualist state. What do we mean by the dualist state here? Here it is being said that the international law does not becomes automatically the part of the domestic legal system. If international law treaty has been signed or ratified by the India, automatically it will not become the part of Indian law. Rather, the parliament has to enact a legislation, has to bring a law, has to pass an act for implementing an international law. So automatically, even if it is adopted, it will not become the part of the Indian legal system. Then opposite to that, there is the theory of monism. What is the theory of monism? These are the states where the international law automatically is incorporated into the domestic legal system of the country. There is no formal need of a parliament to enact a enabling legislation. So in India, we follow the dualism, not the monism. So automatically it will not become the part of the Indian legal system. Secondly, guys, it has also been provided that though we follow dualism, but over the years, the Supreme Court is moving towards the monism. How? Examples have been given. For example, Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan case, National Legal Service Authority versus Union of India, K.S. Puttaswamy case. Now the court followed the judicial incorporation by reading international law. For example, guys, the Vishakha judgment, it pertained to the safety of the women at their workplace. Okay, now the Supreme Court provided that we have to provide the safety to the women at the workplace. Why? Because international treaties are there which provides it, and India is the party, so we have to automatically provide it because India is a party to international treaty. Fine. So into these particular cases, what happened? India, the judiciary read that domestic law needs to be there because an international law is there. Fine. Now, so can Section 66A just come back into the India just because at the international law is being it is being brought? Now, guys, it says that government technically can do that particular thing because we have Article 253 of the Indian Constitution. Now, Article 253 provides that the Parliament has the power to make any law for the whole or the part of the country for implementing any international treaty, agreement, or convention. So, if on if this international treaty on combating the cyber terrorism comes, and there is a particular definition that is being used to implement it in India, the parliament has a power under article 253. But guys, whether it is going to meet the test of constitutionality, it is another thing. Supreme Court probably might going to struck it down even if it is brought, because already into the Shreya Shingal case that thing has happened. So guys, this is certain provisions that are there. Now you don't need to specifically read it only into the regard to this section 66A, but the concepts of dual state, monisms, monist state, and all these things could be important for our polity related issues. Now we are going to go to the next article, an unjust pursuit. So guys, this particular article talks about the extradition of the Julian Assange. Now, who is the Julian Assange? Fine. So guys, Julian Assange was the founder of WikiLeaks. He was the founder of the WikiLeaks. Now guys, what was the WikiLeaks? WikiLeaks actually published a series of articles where it has provided that how the US government has abused many of the international laws, how the US government has carried the invasion of the Iraq, and there the human rights have been violated, how for their own interest they are twisting several of the laws, how the abuse of power has been prevalent. So WikiLeaks are the serious allegations that have been, basically it is a series of expositions against the US government, because the Julian Assange had basically provided all such kind of an information through the WikiLeaks. He has been charged under the Espionage Act of 1917. So guys, the Espionage Act of 1917, it is the USA's legislation which provides that if any person is providing the confidential information into the public, he could be persecuted under this particular act. So the Julian Assange has actually been charged under this law, which was the World War I era law. If Julian Assange is convicted, then he could face the punishment up to 175 years. 175 years. But guys, right now the Julian Assange is not in the custody of the USA. Okay. Basically, the Julian Assange, he is living in exile, and the British Home Secretary has given the go ahead, and they have said that they will extradite the Julian Assange back to the USA, where the USA government can try the Julian Assange under this Espionage Act of 1917. Now guys, it has been provided that okay, if this particular kind of a thing happens, then it will not give a kind of a right message. Why? Because guys, the Julian Assange, he has been a journalist. Okay, he has carried investigative journalism. What is investigative journalism? Where you pick up a cause, you pick up a kind of an issue, you collect the evidence against that particular issue, and along with the evidence, you put your report into the public domain. So the Julian Assange has carried actually a fearless investigative journalism, but for that particular thing he is being punished. Julian Assange in his documents has provided this particular thing, that basically international law, humanitarian law, war excesses have been committed by the US government. It has also provided that how the democracies in the countries actually work, how they are based on to the abuse of the power. So such kind of things, rather the government officials, rather the basically government should be more concerned that such kind of a thing has happened, but the journalists are being charged under such kind of a thing. This is not right. So this is guys all which has been provided here, just a kind of an opinion you need to have. You don't need to go too much into the detail of this particular article, when he was arrested, what happened. No, that is not at all important for your exam. Just guys, when we talk about, for example, in ethics we have the media ethics. In media ethics, media needs to show the true picture. Fine, that is the media ethics. But at the same time, the political ethics also calls that if there is a kind of a criticism against the government needs to take that criticism in a constructive way. Every criticism should not be shooed away, it should not be punished. So the government, find the democracies in fact for that matter, has a lot to learn from these kind of things. So just opinion you need to have, details are not needed. Now moving to one more article from the Hindu newspaper. It reads, rare dragonfly spotted in Kerala for the first time. So guys, sometimes such kind of things have been asked, fine, into the prelims examination, environment and ecology. But you don't need to go too much into the detail, biological details, their anatomy, find their scientific name, they are not asked. Just they ask, for example, this butterfly was recently into the news, it is spotted where. Just that thing. Very broad questions come. So basically, guys, the rare dragonfly by the name of spinny horntail, the rare dragonfly by the name of spinny horntail. Fine, it's scientific name. If you want to read, you can read it, but I'll not advise. So spinny horntail, it has been found in the Kerala. It has been found into the Kerala. Fine. Now this particular butterfly, it is endemic to Western Ghats. It is endemic to the Western Ghats. It is found into the throughout the Western Ghats. Last it was discovered into the Maharashtra this year. Now it is spotted into the Kerala. So it is very much rare butterfly. Fine. So this is its name. Then guys, basically who discovered it, okay, who confirmed it, all such kind of things are not important. Just this one liner concept is there, which you can remember if you want. So that is all guys about the newspaper analysis for the today. Fine. Apart from that, articles relevant for UPSC exam are not there. Is it clear? So I'll not advise you to go into that particular dimension. Fine. Guys, I hope that you are now understanding the art of reading the newspapers as well as that art of selecting the articles that are relevant for our exam. Understanding this art, I always say, is very important, because aspirants, they have to read newspaper, but they are ending up wasting 4 5 hours every day in just reading the newspaper should be completed within 1 hour or maximum 1.5 hours. It should not take more than that. For that, identifying the relevant issues is very important, and knowing them along with the background, along with the way forward, is also important, because then only you can write the answers. Okay, so I hope that you are learning this skill. So that is all guys about today. I hope that you have understood all these things, and if you liked, please do hit the like button, please do leave your comments. It really means a lot to us. Thank you so much. Take care and have a beautiful day.